If you live with a shy, fearful, or reactive dog, you'll definitely want to work on the dog's triggers, but before desensitization and counter conditioning can work, your dog must feel safe. And of course, by feeling safe, you could just stay in the house and never leave, but actually sniffing and getting out and about is therapeutic for the dog. So how do you get out and about and make sure your dog feels safe? Well, one thing is you want to avoid the dog's triggers unless you can control the distance and duration of the triggers. So one of the things I love to do is walk in a wide open field like this, because you can see potential triggers, whether they're adults or children or other dogs. You can see them from quite a distance, and it gives you plenty of time to react. As a matter of fact, a lot of times you can see the triggers before your dog does. You can happily call your dog off and run into another direction. And while I like wide open fields, there is one small disadvantage. A lot of people tend to let their dogs loose in open field parks like these. Even if it is illegal, you still run into loose dogs. So you have to be extra vigilant and look for loose dogs up ahead and move away if you see one. Or maybe even yell ahead and ask the people to leash their dogs if you feel like you have to. Walking trails like these are nice. Just whenever you're on a trail, make sure you're not hemmed in like a wall or thick brush on both sides of you, because if someone comes along, you want to be able to easily move off the trail. One problem I found, though, lots of times, if I move off the trail, people will tend to follow me. And they can easily follow you here because this area outside the trail is nice and flat. And while I like these wide open spaces, here are a few things I like to avoid. This gazebo looks nice and quiet, but think about what would happen if you were to go inside with your dog. Notice there's only one way out. So if you go inside and then somebody comes in front of your doorway with a child or another dog or whatever frightens your dog, now you're trapped inside and your dog is afraid. And desensitization and counter conditioning won't work well if your dog is already above threshold. This is like another nice peaceful area, but watch what happens as you walk out into this little strip of land. If someone were to come behind you with a dog or a child or whatever your dog is afraid of, now you're stuck. You can't run out into the lake forward, you can't run to this side, you can't run to that side. You'll be forced to pass closely by whatever frightens your dog. So this is another area that you want to avoid when you have your special needs dog with you. Something like that pier there is another thing. There's only one way out. If someone comes in with something that frightens your dog, now you're just stuck. Now I tend to avoid bridges because sometimes you can get stuck, especially if the bridge is long, if you run into someone. A bridge like this one is nice and short. You can look ahead and behind before you cross it, and then you quickly cross. For a longer bridge, like I said, you want to avoid it in case you can't get away from someone who might meet you on the bridge. Now this type of trail is one of my favorite places to take my shy dogs, because you have plenty of room to move off the trail if you see someone coming, but at the same time the trail is wooded, so it discourages people from following you if you go into the woods. And while this is wooded, it is sparse enough that it's easy to walk into the woods. Some trails have very thick brush and you might get yourself stuck. And what's also great about this is you can go deep enough into the woods that you can keep your dog safe from passersby on the trail. And let's say that your dog is afraid of other dogs, make sure you stay back far enough so your dog isn't afraid, but close enough to where your dog notices. And you can start treating your dog as your dog sees other dogs go by on this trail. And once again, if someone starts coming towards you, you can just quickly go deeper into the woods. And if I'm walking into a lot of vegetation, I like to bring my cane with me. I also use my cane in case I run into loose dogs. But I like to tap my cane on the ground in front of me in case there are any animals that we don't want to encounter in the deep grass. And make sure you have a good grip on your leash, because woods like these are probably going to hold deer and rabbits and things that your dog might want to chase. So you want to be vigilant and alert. So not only do you have to look for triggers like dogs or children or humans, you have to make sure that you look out for wildlife as well. And of course, the other advantage of walking in the woods is lots of interesting smells for your dog. You'll also want to be very aware of bicyclists and joggers. You have to constantly check behind you because some of them will not let you know that they're back there, and you don't want your dog to get startled. I found that very wide, smooth, flat, and straight trails often attract a lot of bicyclists. If it's cool enough and if parking lots are empty, parking lots are a great place to work. You can work on loose leash walking. You could bring a long line and play fetch. You can work on some pattern games from Leslie McDevitt's DVD, such as ping pong or 1-2 treat. And if you need to escape in a hurry, your car is always nearby. Also, what's great about this park, you have the wide open field as well with your car nearby. Another thing you can do when you're out and about walking, take note of places where you might need to duck into and hide. If you know that someone is trying to follow you with their dog because they're sure that their dog is friendly, sometimes it helps if you can just duck away, like getting into a thick brush like this, or if you're in a neighborhood, maybe hiding behind someone's car in the driveway. Once you've given your dog a break and the dog has had some time to relax and you want to start on desensitization and counter conditioning, this park right here is an excellent example. Let's say that your dog is afraid of children. There's a playground right across here. You can stand far enough away from the playground so that your dog isn't afraid, but close enough to where your dog notices the children, and you can start treating your dog as he watches kids. But you want to be careful. Make sure that you read some of the information in Grisha Stewart's Behavior Adjustment Training and plenty of other books on desensitization and counter conditioning to make sure you're doing it correctly and you're not frightening your dog. But notice the advantage you have here. If some kids start leaving the playground, you can easily run to your vehicle, or you could run back this way into the woods to keep your dog safe. When you're walking in your neighborhood, this is one of the things you want to be careful with, because on one side you can't run up into someone's yard if you need to get away from something. You have to run into the street, so you want to watch out for traffic. The other issue with this area, notice this blind curve here. Scared dogs hate being surprised. So it's best if you can teach your dog how to wait, and then you go around the corner and make sure nothing's there, then proceed. Or if you have a walking buddy, have your walking buddy walk ahead to make sure the coast is clear. If your dog is afraid of other dogs, this is a great place to work on classical conditioning, or maybe even Leslie McDevitt's Look at That game. This is a vet office / boarding facility / training facility. So there'll be dogs going in and out all the time. You can stand in this parking lot. You have your car nearby for safety. And also, if you need to run away, there's an open field to give you plenty of room to get away in case someone tries to come towards you, or in case your dog gets too scared. But basically, you can watch your dogs go in and out and treat your dog or play any of the games by Leslie McDevitt. Or if your dog is more advanced, you just need to work around distractions. You can work on loose leash walking in the parking lot while dogs are going in and out. You can work on obedience cues or trick cues while you're out here. For more tips, check out Stubby Puddin on Facebook, STUBBYPUDDIN. For more on desensitization and counter conditioning, check out Kathy Sadeo's DVD set, Does Pavlov Ring a Bell? For more information on keeping your dog feeling safe, check out Grisha Stewart's chapter on management in her book, Behavior Adjustment Training. Another great resource is anything by Leslie McDevitt, her 2 books, Control Unleash and Control Unleash Puppy, and her several DVDs.